3 words, and one glaring omission. At Michigan International Speedway, a YouTuber with nearly 5 million followers delivered what became one of the most talked about commands in recent NASCAR history. But it wasn't the words he said that sparked the controversy. It was the name he didn't say. And that omission sent shockwaves to the NASCAR community. Before we jump in, if you're a true NASCAR fan like me, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. NASCAR Nation News is just getting started, and we're pushing toward our next subscriber milestone. It's all about real talk from fans who live this sport every single week. Now let's get into it. Here's how it all went down. On June 3rd, Michigan International Speedway announced that Cleetus McFarland, Garrett Mitchell, would serve as Grand Marshal for the DQS Solutions and Staffing 250. But that wasn't all. He would also be competing in the race as an active driver. Right away, that raised eyebrows throughout the garage. At first, nobody saw it coming. However, there was one moment that changed the entire conversation. From inside his truck, his actual race truck, McFarland delivered the command. Ladies and gentlemen, I just have 3 things to say. Be like Biff, do it for Dale, and drivers, start your engines. 2 tributes, then a race. Now, Do It for Dale has been part of Cleetus's brand for years. It's a tribute to Dale Earnhardt. Nobody questions that. And Be Like Biff carries even deeper emotion. After Greg Biffle, his wife Christina's son Ryder, and daughter Emma were all killed in a plane crash at Statesville Regional Airport on December 18, 2025, while traveling to visit McFarland in Florida, Cleetus released a 41-minute tribute video titled The One and Only Greg Biffle. Since then, Be Like Biff has become a permanent part of his video outros. That moment was real. That grief was real. And nobody has taken that away from him. But here's the thing. The third name never came. And that's when everything changed. Kyle Busch, the winningest driver in NASCAR Truck Series history with 69 victories, had died just 16 days earlier. And this wasn't just any race weekend. This was Michigan. The same track, the same weekend, Richard Childress publicly spoke to cameras for the first time since Busch's passing. The Truck Series was returning for its first race since Kyle's death, the very series he dominated for more than 2 decades. And according to reports, this was also the weekend where Busch's contract extension with RCR would have been announced. Had he still been alive, let that sink in. Then something unexpected happened. Fans started connecting another detail. McFarland and Busch were, in a way, teammates. Both were driving under the Richard Childress Racing banner, McFarland through RCR's Nope Series operations. So when Busch's name wasn't mentioned, many fans were stunned, and they made their feelings known. One fan wrote, "Does Cleet have something against Kyle Busch? He's the winningest truck driver, and you don't recognize him while you're sitting in a truck? Weird. What happened next surprised everyone." Some fans pointed to comments Busch had made roughly 10 weeks earlier. Busch had publicly questioned McFarland's NASCAR opportunity, raising concerns about his experience level. He said, and this is a direct quote, "My son has probably run more races than he has, and he's 10 years old." But here's the thing. Busch wasn't necessarily making it personal. His criticism was aimed more at NASCAR itself. He was questioning why someone with so little seat time was being given these opportunities, and he wasn't the only one asking that question. Which brings us to a much bigger debate, one that's been quietly building for quite some time. Because Cleetus McFarland doesn't just bring a helmet to NASCAR, he brings an audience. Nearly 475 million YouTube subscribers, and that matters. Michigan International Speedway President Joe Fowler described McFarland as a natural-born entertainer and one of the biggest names in racing today. He said there was little doubt Cleetus would energize the crowd before climbing into the truck. And Richard Childress himself embraced the idea. When Ty Dillon first brought it to him, Childress reportedly said, "What a great idea, not just for RCR, but for our sport." Here, Cleetus has close to 5 million followers. And if we can get 10% of those new fans coming to races, in other words, the marketing strategy wasn't exactly hidden. And that's when many critics felt their concerns were being confirmed. One fan summed it up bluntly, "NASCAR is just milking this dude, doesn't belong in NASCAR. Nothing more than a YouTuber." Now, those criticisms didn't begin in Michigan. They've been around ever since McFarland's NOP Series deal was announced. But after Michigan, they became much louder. Because here's what happened on the track. McFarland spun during the race. He lost significant track position and ultimately finished 25th in the 125-lap event. However, there's another side to that story. This race was actually a milestone. For the first time in his NASCAR Truck Series career, he completed the entire race. At Daytona, his series debut ended after just 6 laps when he crashed out. At Michigan, when the truck stepped out underneath him, he recognized what was happening, and he saved it. No crash, no DNF. Afterward, McFarland said the whole day was a huge learning experience. Finishing was enough for me. And what did we get, 25th? I mean, that's great. Honestly, that's phenomenal. And honestly, from the perspective of personal development, that's a fair way to look at it. But here's where things get complicated. In a sport where experience is measured in thousands of laps, where careers span decades, celebrating 25th place is phenomenal, while also serving as Grand Marshal of the same event you're competing in, while one of the sport's all-time legends is being mourned at that very track. It was a lot for fans to process all at once. Now, most people believe McFarland's omission of Kyle Busch was not intentional. It was likely an oversight, a highly emotional moment, a high-pressure situation. But timing matters, context matters, and because of where it happened and when it happened, the moment landed like a gut punch for many fans. And whether Cleetus intended it or not, the controversy reignited every question that's been hanging over the story from the beginning. Is he here because of his racing potential? Is he here because of his audience? Or is it both? Right now, it's difficult to say, but one thing is clear. If the on-track results don't improve over time, the criticism isn't going away. If anything, it's only going to get louder. So now I want to hear from you. Should NASCAR require a minimum number of competitive races before allowing a creator or celebrity to compete at this level? Or is bringing new eyes to the sport worth it, regardless of experience? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. This is a real debate, and your voice matters. If you got value from this video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and join the NASCAR Nation News family. We're here every week bringing you real talk, real stories from fans who live this sport. And trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next.